My name is Amara Okonkwo, and I am 34 years old. For 12 years, marriage taught me the art of stretching a naira, the grace of forgiveness, and how to dream even when your stomach growls louder than your voice. My husband Chidi and I lived in a small flat in Surulere, Lagos, where the generator hummed at night and the smell of pepper soup from our neighbor's kitchen made our own hunger harder to bear. Chidi worked as a driver for a wealthy businessman in Victoria Island, while I sold fabrics at Balagan Market. Together, we managed to keep our heads above water, though some months the water rose so high we could barely breathe. But we had each other, or so I thought. Our routines were simple and sweet. Saturday mornings meant jollof rice cooked with love and 2 little chicken. Sunday evenings we'd sit on our small balcony, watching the sun set over the rusty zinc roofs, sharing dreams that felt impossibly far away. Chidi would hold my hand and say, "Inini, one day our luck will change. God has not forgotten us." I believed him with every fiber of my being. One humid afternoon in June, after haggling with customers until my throat was dry, I stopped by Mom Ngozi's provision store near the bus stop. I needed to buy Gary and groundnut oil for dinner. As I counted my wrinkled naira notes, Mama Ngozi smiled at me with a gap-toothed grin. "Amara, my daughter, try your luck today," she said, waving a fresh batch of lottery tickets. "The jackpot is 200 million naira. Imagine it." I laughed, the sound tired but genuine. "Mama, at this point, only Chinik himself can save us." She laughed with me, her belly shaking. "Then let Chinik use this ticket." I handed her 500 naira, more out of respect for her enthusiasm than any real hope. The ticket was bright green with bowl numbers that meant nothing to me then. When I got home, Chidi was washing his employer's car in front of our building, his shirt soaked with sweat and soapy water. I waved the ticket at him playfully. "Chidi, maybe this is how God will finally answer our prayers." He chuckled and shook his head. "Amara, you and your dreams. Next you'll tell me Buhari will personally deliver the money to our door." I tucked the ticket into the dashboard of his car, the old Toyota Camry his employer let him drive home sometimes, and went inside to cook. The ticket disappeared from my mind completely, forgotten like so many small hopes. But something had been changing in Chidi. I noticed it in small ways at first. He started coming home later, always with excuses about traffic or extra work. He bought new clothes, nothing expensive but newer than what we could usually afford. His phone became his constant companion, and he'd smile at messages he wouldn't let me see. "Who is texting you?" I asked one evening, trying to keep my voice light. "Just the boys," he'd say, tucking the phone away quickly. "Planning to watch football." I wanted to trust him. My mother always said, "Suspicion is the death of love." But suspicion had already moved into our home, quiet as a shadow, growing bigger each day. One morning, about a week after I'd bought that lottery ticket, Chidi left for work earlier than usual. He barely touched the akamu and akra I'd prepared, his eyes distant, his mind somewhere I couldn't reach. "Are you feeling well?" I asked, touching his forehead. He pulled away gently. "I'm fine, Amara, just thinking about work." But his eyes told a different story. They held a secret too heavy for him to carry alone, too shameful for him to share. That afternoon, I was arranging wax prints at my stall when my phone rang. It was my neighbor, Sister Patience, and her voice was breathless with excitement. Amara, are you watching the news?" "No, I'm at the market." "What happened?" "Someone from our area won the lottery. 200 million naira. They're not saying the name yet, but they said Surulere." My heart skipped, but I laughed it off. "Kai, Sister Patience, that cannot be us. When has luck ever visited this side of town?" But that evening, when I came home, Chidi wasn't there. His phone was off. The car was gone. I tried calling him 15 times, each ring echoing in his silence. By midnight, fear had replaced worry. By morning, fear had turned to something colder. He came home 3 days later wearing a new agbada, the rich indigo kind with gold embroidery that cost more than we earned in 6 months. His neck carried a thick gold chain I'd never seen before. He smelled of expensive cologne and something else I couldn't name. Success, maybe, or betrayal. "Chidi, where have you been?" I demanded, my voice breaking. "I've been going mad with worry." He looked at me with eyes that seemed to see through me rather than at me. Sit down, Amara. We need to talk. Those 4 words. I've learned since then that those 4 words never bring good news. He didn't sit with me. He stood by the window, his back to me, like he couldn't bear to face what he was about to do. I've been thinking, he began slowly, about us, about our life, about whether this is really what I want. My blood turned to ice. What are you saying? I'm saying I think we've grown apart. We're different people now. You're holding me back, Amara. The words hit me like a slap. Holding you back? From what? I worked my fingers to bone for this marriage. I've stood by you when we had nothing. He turned then, and I saw it in his face. The guilt, the greed, the transformation of a man who'd found something he wanted more than his vows. I want money, he said flatly. A lot of money, and I need to start fresh. With someone who understands the life I'm about to have. You mean with Chioma? I heard myself say. The name had been whispered in our neighborhood. Chioma, the light-skinned girl who worked at the bank in Victoria Island. The one who wore Brazilian hair and posted pictures on Instagram with captions about manifestation and abundance. I'd seen her once, draped on Chitty like expensive fabric. He didn't deny it. That silence confirmed everything. How much did you win? I asked quietly. Does it matter? How much, Chitty? 200 million naira. He said it like it was nothing, like those words wouldn't change everything. The ticket was in my car. It's mine. Something in those words struck me. In my car. The car that wasn't even his. The dashboard where I'd placed my ticket. My joke. My 500 naira prayer. When did you check the ticket? I asked carefully. What does it matter, Amara? It's done. I've already claimed it. The money is in my account. I'm moving out next week, and I think it's best if you find somewhere else to stay. I'll give you something to help you start over. How generous, I whispered, tears burning my eyes. How incredibly generous of you to offer me charity from your windfall. He actually looked offended. I'm trying to be fair. Fair. The word came out as a sob. We've been married for 12 years. We built this life together. And now that money comes, you're throwing me away like yesterday's foo-foo. Don't be dramatic. I'll make sure you're taken care of. But he didn't. Within 2 weeks, I came home from the market to find my belongings in torn Gonna-must-go bags on the street. The landlord, newly paid by Chitty, told me apologetically that I had to leave. The flat was being renovated for new tenants. I stood there in the Lagos heat, surrounded by everything I owned, watching my neighbors peek through their curtains with a mixture of pity and schadenfreude. Sister Patience let me stay with her that night, but I could feel her discomfort. Charity has an expiration date. I moved into a single room in a Ajij, the kind where you hear your neighbors' every conversation and the ceiling leaks when it rains. I took a bus to Balagan Market every morning at 5 a.m. and came back at 9 p.m., exhausted and hollow. At night, I'd scroll through social media and see him, Chidi Okonkwo, the lottery winner, posing with Chioma in front of a new mansion in Lekki. They wore matching outfits. They drank champagne. They smiled like people who'd never known struggle. The blogs called them goals. I called them thieves, at least in the privacy of my room. 3 months passed. The pain didn't fade. It just became familiar, like the scar on my knee from childhood. I learned to live with it. One Saturday afternoon, while cleaning my small room, I found my old handbag stuffed in a corner. I'd stopped using it after Chitty left. It held too many memories. But I needed to find my NIN card, so I dumped everything out. That's when I saw it. The receipt. Small, faded but clear. Mama Ngozi's provision store. Date, June 12, 2024. Time, 1647. Lottery ticket purchase, 500 naira. My hands trembled as I stared at it. June 12th. The same day I'd bought the ticket. The same day I'd tucked it into Chitty's dashboard. My heart began to pound. Could it be? I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at the receipt, trying to remember every detail of that day. The next morning, I took a bus to Surulere, back to Mama Ngozi's store. She recognized me immediately. Amara, my daughter, how are you? I heard what that useless man did to you. God will punish him. Mama, I said breathlessly, that day I bought the lottery ticket from you. Do you remember? Her eyes widened. Ah, that ticket. You won. I saw your husband on TV. Mama, listen to me carefully. I was the one who bought the ticket, not him. I bought it and I put it in his car. She stared at me for a long moment. Then her expression changed. You know, when I saw him on TV, I thought to myself, that is not the person who bought that ticket. It was you, Amara. I remember because you made a joke about God. You said, only Chinique can save us. Mama, would you remember if there were cameras here that day? She nodded slowly. The camera has been here for 2 years. Because of armed robbers. Everything is recorded. Hope surged through me like electricity. Mama, please, I need that footage. I need proof that I bought the ticket. Getting the footage wasn't easy. Mama Ngozi's nephew, who ran the security system, needed convincing. It took 20,000 naira I didn't have, borrowed from sister patients, and several days of pleading. But finally I had it. A grainy video showing me, clear as day, purchasing the lottery ticket, collecting my change, and walking out with the green paper in my hand. I took that video to 3 different lawyers before I found one willing to take my case. His name was Barrister Emeka Akoli, a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a reputation for fighting for the underdogs. Mrs. Okonkwo, he said after watching the video twice. This is very clear evidence. But you must understand, your husband has money now. He can afford the best lawyers. This will be a long fight. I don't care how long, I said firmly. That money is mine. He stole my ticket. He destroyed my life. I want justice. He smiled. Then we'll get you justice. The lawsuit was filed on a Monday morning. By Monday evening, every blog in Lagos was talking about it. Lottery winner's ex-wife claims he stole her ticket. The headline screamed. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some supportive, many just curious about the scandal. Chidi called me that night. His voice was tight with anger. Amara, what do you think you're doing? Taking back what belongs to me. I replied calmly. You're embarrassing yourself. No one will believe you. You're just a bitter ex-wife. Then you have nothing to worry about, do you? See you in court, Chidi. I hung up before he could respond. The first court hearing was chaos. Reporters swarmed the premises. Chidi arrived with Chioma, both dressed like they were attending a fashion show. She wore a coral lace dress and gold jewelry that probably cost more than my yearly income. He wore a 3-piece suit, every inch the successful businessman. I wore a simple Ankara dress my mother had sewn for me years ago. I carried no designer bag. Ibura Novo. But I carried something more powerful, the truth. Barrister Emeka presented our case methodically. The receipt, the timestamp, the store footage showing me making the purchase. Mama Ngozi sworn affidavit. My bank statement showing the 500 naira withdrawal at exactly 16:45, 2 minutes before the ticket purchase. Chidi's lawyer, a sharp woman in expensive glasses, tried to argue that the ticket could have been a gift, that married couples share resources, that there was no proof I hadn't given him permission to claim it. My lord, Barrister Emeka responded, Mrs. Okonkwo was not even aware the ticket was a winner. She had forgotten about it entirely. Mr. Okonkwo checked the ticket, discovered it had won, and claimed the prize without telling his wife. He then divorced her and evicted her from their home. This is not a case of shared resources. This is theft. The judge, Justice Adeyemi, a stern woman with gray locks, listened carefully. She requested additional documentation, the lottery office records showing when the claim was made, the divorce papers showing the timeline, and proof of the eviction. Everything supported my story. The hearing lasted 3 months. 3 months of sleepless nights, of Chidi's lawyers trying to paint me as a gold digger, of blogs taking sides, of strangers sending me hateful messages. But 3 months also of support, women I never met sending me money for transport, strangers praying for me in churches across Lagos, and a growing movement of people tired of seeing women betrayed and discarded. On a hot Tuesday morning in November, Justice Adeyemi delivered her ruling. This court has reviewed all evidence presented. She began, her voice filling the silent courtroom. The evidence clearly shows that Mrs. Amara Okonkwo purchased the winning lottery ticket on June 12, 2024 at 16:47. The ticket was subsequently found by Mr. Chidi Okonkwo, who claimed the prize without the knowledge or consent of his wife. Chidi's face went pale. Chioma gripped his arm. This court finds that Mr. Chidi Okonkwo obtained a lottery winnings through fraudulent means. The ticket belonged to Mrs. Amara Okonkwo, and therefore, all winnings derived from said ticket rightfully belonged to her. The courtroom erupted. Reporters rushed to their phones. Cameras flashed. Somewhere behind me, I heard Sister Patience shout, "Thank you, Jesus." Mr. Okonkwo is hereby ordered to return all remaining lottery winnings to Mrs. Okonkwo within 30 days. Additionally, he is ordered to pay damages and legal costs. I couldn't breathe. Tears streamed down my face. Barrister Emeka squeezed my shoulder. "You did it, Mrs. Okonkwo. You won." Outside the courthouse, microphones were shoved in my face. "How do you feel, Mrs. Okonkwo? What will you do with the money? Do you forgive your husband?" I wiped my tears and spoke clearly. "I feel grateful that justice exists. I will use this money to help other women who've been thrown away like I was. And as for forgiveness, that's between me and God." Chidi's world collapsed faster than a house built on sand. It turned out most of the money was already spent. The mansion leased, not bought. The cars, on payment plans he could no longer afford. Chioma disappeared the moment the verdict was announced, blocking his number and fleeing to South Africa. I received 147 million naira after legal costs and taxes. It was less than the full amount, but it was more money than I'd ever imagined having. 6 months later, I opened a textile business in Balaga Market, but bigger, better. I employed 20 women, most of them divorced, widowed, or abandoned. I paid them fairly and treated them with dignity. I bought a small house in Acadia, nothing extravagant, just a place that was mine. I also started a foundation called Second Chance Sisters, helping women escape bad marriages, start businesses, and rebuild their lives. We've helped over 300 women so far. One rainy evening, almost a year after the verdict, I saw Chidi outside a supermarket. He was loading somebody's groceries into their car, working as a parking lot attendant. His shoulders were hunched. His expensive clothes were gone, replaced by a faded t-shirt. Our eyes met. I could have walked past. I could have let the moment dissolve. But something in me needed closure. I approached him slowly. "Chidi." He looked up, shame flooding his face. "Amara, how are you?" He laughed bitterly. "How do I look? Like someone who learned an expensive lesson." He nodded slowly. "Everything is gone. Chioma, the house, the respect. Everything." I reached into my purse and pulled out 5,000 naira. I handed it to him. He stared at the money, then at me. "I don't deserve this." "No, you don't," I agreed. "But I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this because I refuse to become bitter. Take it. Buy food. Find shelter. Start over." His voice cracked. "I am sorry, Emare. For everything." I nodded. "I know." I walked away without looking back. Behind me, I heard him crying, but I didn't turn around. Some doors, once closed, should stay that way. Today, I drive through Lagos in my modest car, and sometimes I pass our old flat in Surulere. Sometimes I stop by Mom Ngozi's store, and she always refuses my money, saying, "You brought blessing to this place." People recognize me now, not as Chidi's ex-wife, but as Amara Okonkwo, the woman who fought back and won. Young women stop me at the market to thank me for showing them that they don't have to accept betrayal silently. But the victory isn't the money. It's not even the justice. The victory is the woman I see in the mirror each morning. Strong, resilient, no longer afraid. I learned that betrayal can strip you bare, but it can also reveal what you're made of underneath all those layers of compromise and patience. I learned that grace doesn't mean being weak. It means being strong enough to choose dignity over revenge. Some nights, I sit on my balcony, drinking palm wine and watching the Lagos sunset paint the sky orange and purple. I think about the girl who bought a lottery ticket as a joke, never knowing it would change everything. That ticket cost me my marriage, but it gave me something more valuable, myself. And that, I've discovered, is the biggest jackpot of all. As my mother always said, the God who sees in secret will reward in public. She was right. God saw me buying that ticket. God saw me being thrown out. God saw me struggling. And God made sure that justice, though delayed, would not be denied. I no longer check to see what Chidi is doing. His story is no longer connected to mine. We are parallel lines now, once intersected but forever moving in different directions. Last week, a young woman came to my foundation. Her husband had just left her for a younger woman. She sat in my office, crying the same tears I'd once cried, carrying the same broken heart I'd once carried. I held her hand and said, "Sister, this is not your end. This is your beginning. You will rise from this. I promise you." She looked at me with desperate hope. "How do you know?" I smiled. "Because I did. And so will you." That night, I whispered a prayer of gratitude. Not for the money, though I'm grateful. Not for the vindication, though it mattered. But for the journey. For the breaking that led to rebuilding. For the betrayal that led to truth. In the end, Chitty didn't just lose 200 million naira. He lost his integrity, his peace, and his chance at genuine happiness. I gained all three, and as I turn off my light each night, I sleep soundly knowing that karma is not just a word. It's a promise. And that promise, like justice, always keeps its word. The ticket was mine. The victory was mine. But more importantly, the future is mine. And it's more beautiful than I ever imagined.